You know what I mean? It's all part of that vicious cycle most middle-aged folk have.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, I hit the big 6-0 in October.
It being the magic hour of 3 o'clock, we'll call this meeting to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, Secretary Deborah Simpkins, and we have present Commissioner Chairman Douglas Whittam, Commission Clerk Armin Mayhew, and Commissioner Thomas Tarr.
I'd like to recognize the staff that's present, Chief Christopher Adams, Captain Matthew Canfield, Lieutenant Richard Simmons, Lieutenant Alan Grayton, Lieutenant Thomas Sweat, and hopefully James Sawyer will arrive shortly.
He's been excused for today's meeting.
Okay. Quorum has been established, and there are 3 commission members present. We're going to alter the agenda slightly and go right to the hirings. So, Lieutenant Grayton, please. We're going to do a picture of them, too.
Kira Goodhart, come forward.
Yeah.
Holly Gage, come forward. And Matthew Wolak, come forward. You can stand over there, turn and face this direction. As you know, after an exhaustive recruitment process, we had 3 great candidates that we just recently hired. They started on Monday. They're now in the in-house process. First, on the right is Kira Goodhart. She's from Meredith. She went to Interlakes High School, graduated in May from Plymouth State University with a bachelor's in criminal justice. She achieves a president's list for all 4 semesters and graduated summa cum laude. She's been in gymnastics since 18 months old. She's coached gymnastics for the past 4 years in Plymouth, New Hampshire. She also completed an internship with us in Laconia in her senior year. She always knew she wanted to work for this department. She's also an avid power lifter. She has 2 older sisters. One is a doctor in emergency medicine, one is a doctor of veterinary medicine, and her parents, Timothy and Carla Goodhart, are here today with her. Next we have Holly Gage. She's in the center. She currently lives in Nashua, New Hampshire. Graduated from Merrimack High School, graduated from Hesker College with an associate's in criminal justice. She's worked at JCPenney as a loss prevention officer for 3 years, and then at Hannaford as a loss prevention officer for 3 years. She's always had a strong desire to be a police officer. She did an internship with the Merrimack Police Department in 2009, and during her free time she likes to spend time with her family and friends and at the gym. And with her today are her parents, Dawn and Bill Gage. Back. And last but not least, we have Matthew Wolak on the left. He lives in Laconia, but originally is from Thompson, Connecticut. He graduated cum laude from Worcester State University with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. Most recently, he has been working at the Secure Psychiatric Unit at the New Hampshire State Hospital for Men. New Hampshire State Prison for Men. He's always also had a strong interest in law enforcement, serving the community. Ann, would you please come up to do the swearing?
If you'd raise your right hand, please. You do solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all duties incumbent on you as a member of the Laconia Police Department according to their rules and regulations, the laws of the state of New Hampshire, and the ordinances of the city of Laconia, so help you God.
I do.
I guess say the magic words. Yeah, we're gonna.
Thank you.
Sure. Congratulations. It's a pleasure. We're very, very happy to have all 3 of the officers on board. Wishing them a long, faithful career.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank
Glad to
you.
have you.
Congratulations and welcome.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Wherever you go, I'll move to wherever.
Shake one of your hands.
Hey, Chief.
Yes, they do it. Thank you, Chris, I appreciate it.
Chief Commissioners.
I apologize, Chief.
Doug. This is slide roll.
That's a good chair. You take one of these, right? I'll take probably two. I'm home. I can drag you off.
Good. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Officially sworn in.
You guys are all set if you want to leave.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, Richard. Appreciate it.
See you tomorrow.
Yep.
Sounds good.
You sent the header.
Yeah, the thing is, yeah, that's what it is.
And thank you, Ann. We've sworn all of us in at some point.
Okay, moving forward with the agenda, personnel matters, commendation and awards,
Nothing under that for now.
training. The chair recognizes Lieutenant Alan Grayton.
This week, we're going to be completing all of our use of force in our spring qualifications for handguns, for rifle, and for less lethal, everybody that's already been qualified on those. Next week, the end of next week, we're going to be having our patrol rifle class for any of the officers that have not been certified yet with patrol rifle. So those new rifles that we purchased for the grant are now going to be put out on the street once those officers have qualified next week. That's all I have for right now.
Miscellaneous Laconia links, Chief Adams.
I think we had a couple of items there. The drug take-back program, which is done through the DEA, used to be a lot bigger deal when we didn't have our 24-hour drug box, but we still participate in it and hand over those drugs to the DEA. This is done throughout the country, takes a lot of prescription drugs out of houses, so. And then Coffee with the Cop, the latest Coffee with the Cop was at the Laconia Police Department, and was a smaller group, but still, even if it's just one person, it's a positive, because we get to talk about all kinds of different things, so. And I think that was it for the links.
Resignations and retirements.
Nothing there?
Good. Hirings we've dealt with. Promotions and reorganization.
Nothing?
The Division Bureau Commanders Forum, the chair recognizes Captain Matthew Canfield.
As you can imagine, the Motorcycle Week planning is well underway. It's taken a little bit of extra time this year, given some of the events that are being held around the city for Motorcycle Week. We have a briefing with outside agencies that come in and work on May 25th of this month, and that'll pretty much wrap up most of our major planning for Bike Week. Our community resource officers, who are college students, have started back, so we have 3 of those this summer. There's 4 this summer, so we'll be seeing an increase in traffic, parking enforcement, as well as some of their other duties around the station and around.
Captain, we've got a few new officers this year. So with Motorcycle Week coming, you're going to give them extra training, or?
They will, well, we have a couple that are in the academy, so they won't be here for Motorcycle Week this year. These 3 will be starting their limbo week for field training that week. They will be briefed on it, they will be attending the briefing, and they'll also be assigned to field training officers during the week, so.
I have a question, Doug. Captain Canfield, on the Laconia Fest portion of this, do you have any contact with the sponsors of that in terms of how many tickets they might have sold already for that musical festival? So you get a handle on the number of people who might be going just to that?
Yeah, we will, I mean, almost daily or many times, several times a day, contact with the promoter.
Yeah.
We've gotten some updates. They're kind of rough at this point because they've given away a lot of tickets to different promotional organizations, but we will get those numbers
Yeah.
as they come up. But also bear in mind that I'm sure there'll be a lot of walk-up ticket sales as well, and it's weather dependent also, I'm sure.
Support Division, Lieutenant Grayton.
Just, like Captain Canfield said, trying to get things organized, ready for Bike Week, get all of our equipment ready, any supplies or anything that we need, get those in stock and ready to go for that week.
Operations Division, Lieutenant Simmons.
Patrol's been busy. You're seeing the stats. I think accidents are down. Just about everything else is up. You know, we're coming into a time of year. It's starting to get busier. Officers been busy with the in-house training. The other guys had just gotten out, and then we got new people starting, and there's a lot of patrolmen that do a lot of the training for that. Memorial Day parade's coming up, and we've been doing a lot of planning and scheduling for Bike Week.
Detective Division, Lieutenant Sweat.
Just a couple things about the ongoing grants. Next, on the 23rd, Border to Border, which is the national kickoff for Click It or Ticket, is going. We have shifts running on that day under the STEP grant. And also Operation Safe Commute is on the 27th of this month. So we have units assigned to go to that also.
And moving on to orders and bulletins, Lieutenant Grayton.
Do you have any questions on any of the general orders?
I do.
Yes, sir.
On the ethical issues for the recovery support that Officer Adams is attending, is that a new training thing, Lieutenant, or is that something that's been offered each year, or?
This is, he's getting his LIDAC certification.
Oh.
And this gives him credit hours towards that certification.
Yeah.
As far as him being able to do those drug
Okay.
and alcohol intakes.
Well, that is a very intensive work involved in getting that certification.
It is.
So this gives him credit hours towards that certification.
Good, thank you.
Commission action, acceptance of the April 21st, 2016 minutes. The Secretary's draft of the minutes was sent to you, and a copy is in your meeting packet. Please let me know if there are any errors, corrections to the minutes as distributed. If there are no corrections, the minutes stand accepted as distributed.
Okay.
Review of monthly activity reports. Department monthly highlights, Chief Adams.
Like Lieutenant Simmons said, calls for service are up. We're definitely getting a lot of calls associated. I think we talked about this with alcohol and drug-related incidents. The needles continue to be a big problem. Trying to educate the public on the safety of that, obviously giving us a call instead of trying to pick it up themselves. As far as the criminal numbers go, I mean, no huge increases. Shoplifting, of course, and the drug arrests are up there. If you just go back to the previous activity. No,
Middle one?
the stats, sorry, yeah. As far as domestics, we had 26 for the month of April, 96 general disturbances, 12 suicidal subjects. That's, we see this every month. It always seems to be at least 10, which is a concern. And of course, Lieutenant Simmons and his group have been working very diligently on this topic for well over a year now, but it continues to be an issue within our community. And 6 violation of restraining orders, 7 LPD employee hours for volunteerism, and 25 for the victim service unit, serving 11 victims.
In view of this shooting incident the other day, does the department have a program or in place where, any type of shooting is going to be traumatic? And do we have a program in place where the officer can go and sit down and talk to somebody or whatever?
We do. One of our goals in 2014 was establishing a wellness program for employees, both sworn and non-sworn, and that was really to deal with issues they may be having, whether it's at home or an incident like this, within the workplace. And it's to immediately make sure that they're aware of all of the services that are out there. We have a couple of peer counselors within the department who have been trained on that, and we actually document all of this with Guardian tracking. So any sort of incident, whether it's a fatal, a suicide, something traumatic, we will document that the supervisor spoke to all of the officers involved, explained to them what resources there are, and then offered that help. So everything is documented, and yeah, it's important to make sure that we take care of ourselves. Obviously, we see a lot of different things that normal people wouldn't see, and sometimes police are really good at acting like it doesn't bother them, and each person's really different. I mean, something might really disturb one officer, and the other officer, it might not affect that much. If officers have kids and they go to a scene where a child is involved, particularly hard to deal with. So, yeah, we're very aware of that, and we have systems in place to take care of that. That's a great question.
Good question.
Monthly fleet report, Lieutenant Grayton.
Do you have any questions or concerns about the report?
No.
Criminal Investigative Unit statistics, Lieutenant Sweat.
Do you have any questions? It's generally busy, as always. Some categories are up or some are down. We are down a detective, so that does affect things.
The increase in juvenile petitions, that's due to change in the age of...
Yep, the pool got bigger.
Okay.
And that's a far more activity-intensive age group by adding that extra year.
Monthly patrol division statistics, Chief Adams.
If you don't have any questions, I really have nothing more to add. No major, like I said, increases or decreases for the most part.
And the budget printout, Captain Canfield.
The budget printout's on track. You know, I met with Donna from City Hall about a week and a half ago, and I think we'll meet that this year. We'll be fine.
We will be, once again, a reminder, presenting our budget to the council June 6th.
6th.
Expecting sort of a maintenance budget, chief, for next year, or
Most of the budget,
request for big increases in it?
no, most of the items are level funded, so there's really no surprises to them. Obviously, we want to explain the reasons for what we have in our budget and connect that to the recent goals, the goal-setting session that the city had. And some of the concerns obviously dealt with substance abuse, mental health, the homeless population. So what we'll do is we'll tie in our budget presentation addressing those specific concerns that the councilors had and the mayor and city manager, so. But mostly level funded across the board.
And monthly traffic statistics, Chief Adams.
Real no changes there. I think it was a slight increase maybe in accidents compared to last year. But
I think accidents were
it
down.
was either a slight increase or a slight decrease. Like the captain said, the CROs are out there, so our ticket numbers will certainly increase. We learned that when the CROs were cut from the budget. They do quite a lot of work with parking enforcement, so we're happy to have them back for sure.
Correspondence to and from the department, Chief Adams.
This was an email from a gentleman from Coca-Cola Bottling Company just praising the department for the Police Athletic League. As you know, we've recently partnered with the Boys and Girls Club. Right now, we're going over there every other Wednesday, at least 2 to 4 officers. We're going to be adding an extra component on safe messaging, so the DARE officer, Michelle Cardinal, will be joining us either prior to the sporting events or after. She'll give a 5 to 10 minute safety talk on, if it's Halloween, being careful, riding bicycles, if it's during the wintertime, staying off the ice.
On the safety thing, school closing is coming up shortly.
Right.
And I was reading in the paper the other day, it wasn't in Laconia, it was a Belmont Town Beach, but about all the needles being found, I wonder, would it be worth our while to have an officer go into the schools before the school closes for the summer and talk to the kids about if they see needles or anything at the beach, don't touch them. I mean, that's scary. That's scary.
Yes, and I reached out to the superintendent about a month ago. I can't remember if we talked about it at one of these meetings, or maybe it was a little more than that, to put together a educational pamphlet for children and the parents to hand out, just because it's such an issue, and kind of showing what a needle looks like, what the proper procedure for disposal is, to call us. So that is absolutely in the works, and Sergeant Hubbard's actually working on that pamphlet now. So anyways, Steve Orton, as you know, he's the assistant coach for the football team. Officer Brian Moynihan just got appointed as the head coach for the Laconia High School soccer team. So that's all part of, it's not just the Boys and Girls Club, it expands further than that, but obviously the goal is to interact with children at all levels and try to teach them life skills and have them interacting in a positive way with our police officers. And this is an email to Officer Cardinal and Captain Canfield. This was for a presentation at Irwin Motors. Did you go to that, or do you have any? No, it's just, Michelle put a lot of work into that presentation. She did a lot of preparation. She created this chart with this car to demonstrate officers or motor vehicle safety. Very well-attended event and very well taught by Officer Cardinal. I think the next one is a thank you email from Councilor Henry Lippman thanking Lieutenant Sweat. Did you have anybody else with you? Was it Lieutenant Simmons, or was it just you that time? Basically helping out the Temple on Court Street with emergency preparedness. We did a session with them about a year ago, the captain, Lieutenant Simmons, and myself. Lieutenant Sweat followed up on that, spent many, many hours with them going through best practices on how to remain safe in case of an intruder, and he was thanking the lieutenant for that. And then I think there was a thank you from Good Shepherd Church for a meeting I had with a new pastor at the church. And I think that was it. A couple of internal emails.
Under the chief's report, performance assessment report card.
I think we had 7 cards, and all of them were A's, is my understanding.
Yep.
And the government task force on substance abuse.
This was a day-long conference down in Manchester. I could not attend the whole conference because I was actually at another substance misuse event at Meadowbrook with Chris Herron. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, former Boston Celtics player that really shares a powerful message. There was about 5,000 kids from all over the region and even outside the region that listened to his message, and was really powerful. After that, a group of us went down to the summit in Manchester, and we were actually part of a panel discussion on creating a culture of prevention, recovery, and support, a framework for schools, so specific to Laconia School District, how we partner together to try to create a positive environment. And so that went very well. It was about an hour-and-a-half presentation, and I heard that the summit was outstanding, had people from various fields, law enforcement, medical, recovery, treatment, all together under the same roof, which is a good thing, so. Any questions on that? As you know, we had our awards banquet last week. We had about 60 to 70 people there. It was a fantastic night to really celebrate our accomplishments. Officer Kyle Jepson was named Officer of the Year for that, so it was a great night, and it's always nice to get together with the family and officers to talk about good things and all of the good work that the officers do throughout the year.
That was a good venue, too. I mean,
Putting the freight room is it's a very good venue, so. As you know, we had our mock assessment on April 22nd. You saw an internal email that I sent out. That went very, very well. Robin, Lieutenant Grayton did a fantastic job preparing for that. The assessors were confident that we should be good to go when we have our real assessment in August, so I was very happy with that, and thank everybody who was involved in that whole process.
And a couple of other items, actually, that I did not put down here. Yesterday, we were involved with a large tabletop exercise at the fire department. It was actually put on by Homeland Security. We had about 60 to 70 participants in this tabletop. It ran for about 3.5 hours, I think. I know, Lieutenant, were you involved in that? And the captain. But basically, it was a weather-related incident at the concert venue that we just spoke about during Bike Week. I think it went very smoothly. We learned some things that we didn't think about, but overall, I think it went great. And it's always good to get all of these agencies that we don't always work with together and really go over a scenario and make sure that our operational plans are sufficient. So we're very pleased with it. I don't know if the captain has any follow-up comments on that, but
This concert at the Motorcycle Week, that's more or less something new this year, isn't it?
this is the first year they've done it, so
Is there going to be a concert every night, or is that going to be 1 or 2 nights, or what?
There'll be concerts every night.
Every night?
Every night.
And that's at the Weir's Drive-In?
Correct.
And the last thing I had was the law enforcement memorial ceremonies tomorrow in Concord, so a group of us will be going down there to celebrate the lives of those officers who pass away in the line of duty. Of course, one of our Laconia officers, Charles Dolliff, is engraved in that memorial, so we have some family members that we go down with every year and pay respect to him and all of the officers who have passed away in the line of duty, so. And that's it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Old business? Nothing?
Actually, I did forget one other item that I wanted to put under there. Lieutenant Simmons was actually nominated for an award through NAMI for his work with suicide prevention. He did not get the award, but I think it's worthy of, if I could just read this, if you could bear with me. I would like to nominate Rich Simmons of the Laconia Police Department for NAMI New Hampshire's Law Enforcement Award. The Laconia PD has been a leader in community concerns like domestic violence, substance misuse, and most recently, suicide prevention. They have made themselves visible and accessible to the public and have joined with many initiatives to address key public health issues. Laconia PD has worked extensively to distribute suicide prevention materials and get trained in best practices to respond to someone at risk. In 2015, Rich Simmons of the Laconia Police Department coordinated a short video around suicide prevention for citizens in Lakes Region in collaboration with key stakeholders, including the Community Mental Health Center, a local faith leader, the Partnership for Public Health, the Laconia Schools, and NAMI New Hampshire. Rich has also been a speaker at New Hampshire's annual Suicide Prevention Conference, where he spoke about his department's role in helping to keep suicidal people safe. In 2016, he's been leading an effort to create a protocol and training for his officers to offer a compassionate and sensitive approach to loss survivors in a time of tragedy, and has volunteered to present this protocol at the Police Standards and Training Council on New Hampshire's 2016 Suicide Prevention Conference. Rich and Laconia Police have reached out to individuals and families in crisis to offer them much-needed resources, and has consistently put out a caring message that there is hope and help for people who have been affected by mental health and/or suicide. So definitely worthy of congratulations, and he's done a fantastic job.
Congratulations.
That's it.
Again, old business, no discussion. New business. Anything? Confirm the date of the next regular meeting, June 23rd, 2016, and there's a change in date due to Motorcycle Week. Other business.
Chief, I was hoping that Jim Sawyer was going to be here today. I did have a question for him. Maybe you know the answer to it.
I'll try my best.
The drug sweep took place on March 9th. And at the last meeting, I know some of those people were held on cash bail. A lot of them were released on PR. At the last meeting, I asked him when were these people that were released scheduled for an arraignment? And I think the minutes will indicate that that was May 12th.
That's my understanding. Do you know if this?
Sorry, I don't know that off the top of my head, but that would be about right.
I was just wondering, I guess my question is, did we have any no-show of that group that was supposed to be arraigned last week?
I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that probably some of the individuals did not show up.
That would have been my question for Jim.
I would assume so, but I can definitely get that information when he returns. Absolutely.
Citizen comments.
I have one. It's brief. Gail Ober, Ward 5. I have two comments under one hat personally and one hat professionally. Professionally, I'd like to thank Chief Adams for doing his best to keep us informed during the incident on Country Club Road. He did a nice job of setting up a command center and making sure that, I think it was just B and I, but that B and I were up to date on everything that was going on as best he could be. As a citizen, I'd really like to thank the officer involved in that. While I'm not going to name him or her, I think great restraint was shown and should be brought to the attention of people, because we're in a climate now where, as a news media person, you know, we're all over when police do something wrong. And I had sent an email to you guys, and we'd like to be all over when police do something right and show great restraint when in fact they didn't really, probably could have taken a different approach to this. So as a citizen, I want to thank that officer for doing such a good job, and I would recommend that the department and the commissioner's leadership do the same.
Thank you for your comments, Gail.
Any other citizen comments? Dennis?
Yeah, we talked about the crime statistics before.
Excuse me,
And,
Dennis.
my name's Dennis Lentz, resident of Laconia. We've spoke before about the different statistics and things, including shoplifting. I'm glad you actually hired some officers that's had some experience in that, too. On my notice to respond, I had a question here. It's like the city of Laconia's crime rate has risen in rank since the initial incidents before 2013 in the state of New Hampshire, from the 4th highest crime rate in the area to become the 2nd highest crime rate in the state, and is higher than the national crime rate average. According to the reported statistics of the yearly totals category, which would consist of simple assaults, followed secondly by destruction of property, followed thirdly by intimidation, and followed in the 4th category are drugs. Of these statistics, there seems to be no publicly comprehensible comparison of the number of complaints that resulted in apprehension, conviction, or a determinate practice of resolution to the more violent, intrusive problems plaguing the constituents of the city. I mean, I noticed that the crime rates have increased. There seems to be an over-reliance on well, the last drug raids that you had, were confidential informants used on that too? And are they also excused from other actions and crimes? It seems to be a problem.
So your question is, what again?
As the crime rates have increased, certain people, are not really prosecuted for it. Some of them are actually excused for it. There seems to be a heavy over-reliance on police informants. A lot of them career criminals who just toss out any kind of information. And I was just wondering, in the last arrest, was that also a lot of career criminals used as informants?
So we're not gonna go into drug investigations or uses of CI. I will address your comments about crime stats and things like that. As you know, crime is cyclical.
Yeah.
You go back 20, 30 years ago, it's like a roller coaster. It's up or down. I just opened up my book here, and if we go back to 2008, and you brought up simple assault, we had 535 simple assaults. If you go to 2013, we were down by almost 200, 363. Criminal threatening, you brought up 2008, we had 217. In 2013, we had 102. So big decreases in those two categories. So it's cyclical. Crime rates are up and down. The listings of communities, and the most dangerous are often based on 4 or 5 different categories: murder, rape, felony assault, and I forget what the other ones are. And it's based on per capita. So if we have one murder in a year, based on the size of our community, it's going to reflect that we are an extremely dangerous community. So you have to put it into perspective. I'm not saying that we don't have crime here, of course we do. But it's cyclical, and those reports can oftentimes be deceiving. And the bottom line is the state of New Hampshire is one of the safest states in the nation when it comes to safety, if you really look at it, so.
But Laconia is rising to number 2.
Well, I just went through some of those stats, and there's a big decrease. And I usually talk about the crime stats at the commission meetings, and I've said over the last 5 years, most of the crime categories are either remaining at par, very slight increases, or slight decreases, except for shoplifting and drug arrests. And that's because we have a 2-person drug unit, and the shoplifting primarily is Walmart.
All right.
So I hope that answers at least some of your questions.
Some of it. Like I said, I got the stats off.
And you're always welcome to come see me or call me. We can go over it with a fine-tooth comb.
Thank you.
Anything else for the good of the order?
Any need for non-public?
No need.
Move to adjourn.
Or a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The notes are all on
I didn't even write those. They wrote them themselves.
They all have good handwriting.
Was this, what was it again?